Welcome to Outside the Bubble, a closer look at the rapidly emerging gun violence in Champaign and what the city and community want you to know, or not know, about it. I'm Delia Bradley, a journalism student unaffiliated with any news organization. That means I can report what some organizations can't.
I've seen like 7-year-olds in gangs.
7?
Yeah. It's just how it is.
Interviewing Benny Drake gave me some perspective. Living on campus, I am in a bubble of self-centered college students focusing on upcoming finals in our closed community rather than the city surrounding us. I spoke with Trisha Eppersold, a senior at the University of Illinois, while walking to class.
I've just heard of crimes outside in the Urbana-Champaign area, especially with kids and getting hit by cars and stuff like that. I heard that's a problem too.
Benny, a lifelong member of the Champaign-Urbana community, recognizes there is an issue with guns and gangs in our community, but not enough is being done to stop it. Something most college kids, including myself, have absolutely no idea about. There is more to the crime in the community than children being hit by cars.
You have people in the community that's fighting this tooth and nail.
Sean Williams, a member of the community all his life, is part of the Community Coalition, which is fighting gun violence in every way it can, approaching it from all underlying issues. He was very willing to speak with me about his efforts, as well as what the community is trying to do themselves.
I'm also on the committee for CU Fresh Start. We'll address those guys that the law enforcement have deemed to be the most violent guys in the community. And so we bring those guys into a space. We want to identify, is your problem, and how can we address your problem? Then we can kind of get you into a space and say, hey, look, we're willing to help you.
When Williams returned home from his stint in the military, he found Champaign without the programs that kept these young people off the street.
The community that I knew of Champaign-Urbana, we were really a tight-knit community. I think we lost focus. Idle mind is the devil's workshop. And so if we don't have anything in place for our young people that's the most at risk, then they kind of find their own fun. And it doesn't look well for the community.
Members of the community, including Benny, agree we need more programs.
It's just certain programs where you have to keep around to keep certain kids out of harm's way of that stuff. I mean, you just need more programs and more people that want to fight for your community.
One of those necessary programs for the community was started by Tracy Dace. In an attempt to curb this gun violence away from children, Dace started Driven to Reach Excellence in Academic Achievement for Males, or Dream House. This is a school-to-college pipeline for boys starting in preschool and one day all the way to 12th grade.
We try to instill in them a strong understanding of their individual identity, but also we are working on this kind of brotherhood. We definitely encourage them to really embrace being smart. And we also work with parents, so we do some Saturday sessions with parents around effective Black parenting. So we really try to approach it from the whole child.
Dace previously worked with the Boys and Girls Club, starting a mentorship program there before creating his nonprofit 3 years ago. He also recognizes that establishing a safe place for young boys to come back to after making poor decisions is necessary for the community.
We recognize that some kids may make a decision that's not in their best interests, right? And creating an environment so that they know despite those decisions, despite whatever they may choose to do that's not positive, there's still a positive space for them to return to. And so we have to create those spaces where kids, young people, youth understand that, I'm human, I've made a mistake, but I can always go back to Dream House, and Dream House is a home.
City Council member Clarissa Foreman believes these young children, the same ones Tracy Dace helps, are in danger because of their environment as a whole. But so is the rest of the community.
This is gang violence. Every time a body hits the ground in Champaign, there are 4 or 5 or 6 retaliatory shootings that you don't hear about because a body isn't attached.
This is no longer an issue people can ignore. The community directly affected by the gun violence is doing everything it can to create more programs, but it's not an issue one neighborhood can fight on their own.
So when we see ourselves on CNN News with something that happens, maybe to a college student, that's maybe an overseas student, and we hit the news, I mean, no one says it was this particular person or that person. It was Champaign-Urbana.
We all live in the Champaign-Urbana community, meaning the violence we associate with certain areas and certain people is also associated with us. This violence is our violence, which is why I decided I needed to know what was actually going on in my city. If you feel compelled to fight this issue or learn more, Champaign Community Coalition meetings are held the second Wednesday of every month at 3:30 at the Champaign Public Library. City Council meetings are every Tuesday at 7 p.m. in the Champaign City Building. Thanks for listening to Outside the Bubble and joining the conversation on Champaign's gun violence. I'm your host, Delia Bradley.